Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Agung Masaring and I'm from PBIC class. And now I will explain about my answer from the psycholinguistic assignment that was given last week. Okay, so without further ado, I'll just go to the first number. So number one is, in order to be able to produce speech, our minds goes through three stages. So what are they? Okay, so my answer is, in order to produce speech, our minds go through several stages before the words come out of our mouth. So according to level 1989, the process of language productions can be divided into three main stages. The first is conceptualization, next is the formulation, and next is the articulation stage. The first is the articulation stage, which means deciding what we want to say. So at this stage, our minds forms ideas, intention, or messages that we want to express. So this process is often called the pre-linguistic stage because the ideas are not yet in the form of language. Psycholinguistics like Jared and Slavin explain that this is the stage where we think for speaking. So we use our semantical knowledge and our understanding of meaning to decide the content for our speech. The second is the formulation stage. So the formulation stage, which focuses on how we are going to express those ideas. So at this point, our mind selecting the suitable words and constructing grammatical sentence that match that match the intention we planned in the previous stage. So this process involves syntactical knowledge, which is our ability to organize words, grammar properly to make our message meaningful and clear. As Garrett 1975 and Campen and Hujibers 1983 explained that formulation converts our abstract idea or our abstract thought into structured language forms that can later be spoken easily and accurately. The third stage is the articulation stage. So this is the stage where we actually pronounce our thought into speech. So here our minds will sending the instruction to our speech organ like tongues, lips, and vocal cords to produce speech. And this stage use our phonological knowledge, which help us to produce sounds correctly according to phonological rules to make our speech more clear, to make it clear and understandable. Chomsky 2014 described this as the transformations from deep structure, the message or the meaning in our minds, to surface structure, the actual spoken words. So in short, there are three stages when we want to produce speech. The first is conceptualization, the second is the formulation, the third is the articulation. Okay, next, number two. So number two is, what do humans need in order to be able to function those three stages earlier that I've been explained. Okay, so in my answer is, in order to be able to function those three stages, humans need to know about this linguistic knowledge, namely the semantical knowledge, which is required for the conceptualization stage. The second is syntactical knowledge, which is required for the formulation stage, and phonological knowledge, which is required for the articulation stage. Okay, I will explain about these three knowledge. The first, we need semantical knowledge to our to performing the conceptualization stage. So semantical knowledge refers to our ability to understand meanings, idea, or messages before we even start to speak. If you want to say something, or if you want to speak, uh, if you want to say something, or if you want to speak, our minds will generate an idea or an intentions. So this semantical knowledge allow us to do semantic macro planning that refers to the deciding the type of speech act, like explaining, asking, or describing, and also semantic micro planning that refers to the selecting facts or details to support our ideas. So without semantic knowledge, our minds wouldn't be able to form or to make clear message or intention as a function or as a foundation for our speech. Okay, the second, we need syntactical knowledge for the formulation stage, because at this stage our mind start converting ideas formed during conceptualization into language. So this syntactical so the process includes three main sub processes. The first is lemmas selecting, the second is lexeme formation, and the third is grammatical encoding. Okay, so first is lemmas selecting, means linking the concept, the abstract concept in our minds to write words that carry the same meaning. And lexeme formation is when these lemmas are turned into actual word or sentence, or into actual words that we can say or write. And the third is grammatical encoding, is when these lexeme are turned in, this lexeme, when we arrange this lexeme into grammatically correct and meaningful sentence based on implicit knowledge, based on our implicit knowledge of grammar. So to carry out this process, humans need to have enough vocabulary and knowledge of the sentence structure, and also grammatical competence. So the semantical knowledge help us to, so allow us to translate our abstract thought or our abstract idea into well organized sentence that others can understand. Okay, next, the articulation stage. And the third is we need to know about the phonological knowledge for the articulation stage, because phonological knowledge help us to produce sounds more clearly, fluently, as correct, because because phonological knowledge help us to produce sounds more correctly and fluently according to phonological rules as in a particular language. And also, as I already explained earlier, that according to Chomsky, 2014, Chomsky described this as a transformation from deep structures, the meaning or the message in our mind, into the surface structures, the actual spoken words. Okay, so in short, there are three knowledge that human need to know in order to be able to function of the three stage of conceptualization and formulation and articulation. So the three knowledge, namely, the first is semantical knowledge for conceptualization, the second is syntactical knowledge for the formulation, and the third is phonological knowledge for the articulation. Okay, number three. Do I agree that in conceptualization we need semantical knowledge. Okay, my answer is yes. I completely agree that in conceptualization we need semantical knowledge. Why? The reason is that semantical knowledge is the foundation for forming ideas, uh, and also messages and intention before we even start to speak. So like this, if we want to start to speak or if we want to say something, our minds doesn't doesn't immediately start to produce words, but it creates abstract ideas, messages or intentions about what we want to express. This process is what we call as conceptualization. So it cannot happen without understanding meaning, and this understanding of meaning which comes from semantic knowledge. So semantic knowledge also allow us to know about what message is about and how we organize our thought or our ideas, and how can we choose the speech act, whether like asking, explain or describing something. So and in other hands uh, semant- in other hands semantical knowledge also help us to plan meaning before we plan speak or before we plan words. Okay, next question, number 4. uh, what are the function of semantical knowledge? Okay, my answer is uh, semantical knowledge function as core or function as core basis for the conceptualization, because the semantical knowledge help us to form and also help us to organize and also help us to express our intended meaning before we speaking. In conceptualization stage, at first our minds generate our ideas or intentions, and then our semantical knowledge will fill this meaning, and then will fill these ideas with meaning. So and then they can transform into actual word or sentence. For example, when someone wants to express their gratitude, their semantical knowledge will help them to connect their feeling of being grateful to or with proper meaning like thank you or I appreciate it. So without semantical knowledge, this wouldn't without semantical knowledge, an intention to speak is still there, but we still can we still can't attach the meaning without the semantical knowledge. And also another function of semantical knowledge is that we can choose the right words, or we can choose a relevant information to convey. And so in conceptualization we don't say everything in our minds, so we just selecting the meaningful details. For instance, I want to tell you about my trip to the beach. So my semantical knowledge will help me to choose the right moment, or will help me choose the best part when I go to the beach, maybe swimming, shopping, or watching the sunset may represent the best ideas or best represent of my experience. Okay, number 5. What do you know of semantical micro planning and semantical macro planning? So, explain your answer with example. Okay, my answer is semantical macro planning and micro planning are two parts of conceptualization that work together to shape our ideas before we speak. So, semantical macro planning refers to the process of deciding what overall message or speech act we want to express. It's about the big picture, the speaker's main intention. For example, if someone wants to apologize, their macro plan is to perform a speech act of apologize. So the message might be something like, I'm sorry for being late. At this point, they have decided the purpose of speaking but haven't chosen the exact words yet. Meanwhile, semantical micro-planning is more detailed. So it focuses on how to express that main message, which facts or details should be highlighted to make the meaning clearer. So using the same example, if the person says, I'm really sorry for being late because the traffic was terrible, the praise because the traffic was terrible is part of the micro planning. It adds supporting details that strengthen the main idea of apology. So in short, macro planning is about what to say and micro planning is about how to say effectively. Okay, next we move to the sixth questions. The sixth question is, if conceptualization takes place in the brain, which part of the brain runs the functions? So I have to explain about my answer and also with an example. Okay, so my answer is conceptualization takes place in Wernicke's area, which is located in the posterior part of the superior temporal gyrus in the left hemisphere of the brain. So according to Cho et al. 2033, Wernicke's area is responsible for language processing, including the pre-linguistic stage of speech production, such as determining ideas, concepts, and selecting appropriate words or sentence structures before articulation. In other words, conceptualization begins when the speaker forms a mental representation of what they want to say. So this process happens in Wernicke's area. So after this stage, the information is sent to Broca's area to be transformed into actual speech or articulation. Okay, so for example, or for instance, when someone wants to say I'm hungry, Wernicke's area first generates the concept of feeling hunger and finds the suitable words to express it. Then, this linguistic plan is sent to Broca's area, which produces the physical act of speaking the words I'm hungry. Okay, so maybe that's all the explanation for me. Thank you very much for your attention and assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.